Zach here from Universal Air, getting ready to build a system for this Rad Rides A7. Oh, perfect. Zach here from Universal Air, getting ready to build a system for this Rad Rides A7. So to start off, we measure from the center of the wheel up to the fender and mark that, as well as measure from the tire to the inner fender well to know how much drop we can get out of it. And then also we measure from the rocker panel to the ground with the car sitting on the ground at its factory original ride height. And we do the same thing for the rear. As you can see, this new A7 interior is beautiful. Now that it's time to disassemble the rear, we're going to go ahead and drop the rear carriage and pull out the rear spring. So to get this out, we're going to go ahead and remove out these inner fender liners, as well as disconnect the rear upper shock mounts. And then we're going to remove the shock off of the lower, which is this cross bolt right here. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and loosen these bolts that hold this whole rear suspension carriage. And what that'll do is allow this whole thing to drop down to where we can pull out this rear spring. From there, we're going to need to make an adapter to go into this top mount on the body where the stock spring went, as well as an adapter for this lower spring mount into this lower control arm. So with this rear shock removed, we're going to go ahead and remove off the rear bump stop and mock it up to see how it cycles. What we're going to go ahead and do is put everything back in, put the shock back in here, leave the spring out, and then go ahead and compress the suspension up to see where it's going to sit when it's fully dropped. So with the suspension fully compressed here, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and measure from the center of the wheel up, or I should say the center of the hub. And we know our overall tire height is 28 inches, so we're looking for 14 inches from the center of this hub up to the inner fender well. As of right now, we are sitting at about 14 and an 8, and that'll put the tire on the inner fender liner. If we want to get it down even lower, we need to go down to a shorter strut, so that way we can be able to compress the suspension up further. We want to measure from the bottom side of that body to the top side of this lower control arm. And with that there, we're sitting at right about 7 inches. So we're going to want to make our full entire assembly be 7 inches with the fully compressed. A couple other things worth pointing out here is the control arm is actually coming in contact with the body. This upper control arm is touching the body. So if you want to go down that last little bit, we would have to clearance this, or essentially bend up this little flange that's right here. And we don't have that much further to go in order for this control arm right here. Now, depending on what you're going to do for your wheel and tire size, if your overall tire height was a little bit bigger, then at this point you're going to be hitting on the inner fender wells anyway, so you don't need to really go through all this trouble to get it down that last little bit. Now we move into the office where we go through and we measure out the factory original bushings and actually model them out and design up some brackets. What we're going to do is copy this profile right here, along with the profile of this pin right here, so we can make our upper adapters to adapt into the body. All right, we've gone ahead and whipped up our first prototype idea to go and try out, and go ahead and show you what we did. So here's a bracket we went ahead and made up. This little pocket this little nub sticking out right here will go into the pocket of the control arm. And then the bag's going to sit on this side, bolt through here to secure it onto this side. We've gone ahead and cammed it up, so that way we can go ahead and machine these units out. Here's a little quick simulation on what it's going to actually do. We're going to basically deck off the top side of it, pop the holes, do the profile, clean up the edge. And then from there we put it in our lathe, and we're going to go ahead and put this big chamfer on the side of it, so that way we can have it clear the control arm. Here into the shop, we're going to go ahead and get this thing prototype cut out to see how everything fits. So right now we're going to go ahead and probe the piece of raw stock so the machine knows where it's at. From here we're going to go ahead and do our first test cut. Just like what we saw on the screen. Just did there was to face off our fixture, so that way we're going to be perfectly square with our plate. That's how we're done. So we got our little nub in there to go in the control arm. We've got the clearances for the arm itself. Let's go give it a shot. So now let's go ahead and give it a test fit. Ah, it's so close. You can see it's hitting a little bit on there. So let's go ahead and mark it up and try again. We went ahead and updated the program. Test fit 2, here we go. Almost. Looks like we just gotta take a little bit more off of here and off of up there. It's kind of teetering right there on that part. All right, here's the latest revision. We went ahead and thinned the plate out a little bit so we get the bag a little tighter, and we decrease this size a little bit so hopefully it's going to fit in. Let's see how she fits. Oh, perfect. Lines up nice inside the bottom. Our hole's pretty good for the mounting hole. Now let's get working on that top side. Okay, we got a quick mock-up in here. We got some plates sitting on top of the bag to simulate the height. We are extremely tight to that arm. And if we look over here on the other side, we have clearance for days. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to offset the bag inwards to get us more clearance for here. The other option, of course, is we could space out this, but that will in turn change the suspension geometry a little bit. So I'd rather just offset the bag in since we have so much space on the other side of it. Time to go do yet another lower mount. I've gone ahead and made a few revisions on here, so go ahead and show you. For this lower, we're going to go ahead and offset. I have both a driver's and a passenger bolt pattern on there so we can use the same bracket for either side. Just you're going to put the bolt into the correct hole. And then I went ahead and modeled up the upper mount as well. On this one, we're actually offsetting the pin over so that way we can keep the top looking uniform. And we've gone ahead and notated front of car, which we are going to engrave onto the brackets. That way we can know which way it goes in when the customers are installing it. But thoroughly care for the way that turned out in the middle, so we might have to just make them right and left plates. And here goes the upper. And there we go. First time test fit for the upper. So here's how it turned out. Looks pretty good. We do have that offset on there so we can shift the bag forward. Let's go ahead and give her a test fit. It's in there perfect, no wiggle. Nice and solid. Good way to locate it. Essentially this part of the subframe right here hangs down a little bit further, so we're gonna have to do a slot inside there to get this plate to go all the way up flush. So here's our unit all finished up. We got the slots milled into the side of it so that way you can have clearance for that subframe. Let's go ahead and give her a test fit. Yep, goes all the way up now. We even have a little extra clearance so we can rotate if need be to help align up that fitting. And we are good to go. Let's go ahead and do a quick mock-up with some test plates in between the top spacing so we can build the rest of it. So here's our mock-up with the offset we have on there. We now have plenty of clearance on this side, plenty of clearance for the axle side. So now we don't have to worry about the bag ever rubbing the axle or that arm. Alright guys, today's tomorrow. Let me go ahead and show you what we ended up coming with. We did end up going through quite a few different revisions in order to get it fit in there absolutely perfect. So what we've gone ahead and done is we did do a little bit different of an offset on here in order to get a little more clearance for that arm. We went ahead and notated them for driver side and passenger side so that way the installer can know which way they're supposed to go. On this upper mount, We ended up doing the clearances that you saw, and then we ended up doing the same thing where we offset over to account for the lower part, and then we also notated front of car so that way they know which way it's supposed to go. And we have our 3 spacers here in order to make up the rest of the stack. When it comes time for the assembly, what we're going to do is we're going to put this bracket on here. Right now we're working on the passenger side of the vehicle, so we'll go ahead and line up the passenger side bolt holes with the bolt holes in the bag. We'll go ahead and put the bolts in. We'll go ahead and flip it over. Time to do the top. So for the uppers, we want to put the bolts through the top bracket first, and we're going to start stacking our plates. Now when we put it in there, we want to look at the front of car mark, and this one we want the air fitting to go inboard to the inside of the vehicle, so we want to make sure the air ports go towards the inboard side. From there, tape and bolt it onto the top of the bag. There's our full assembly. The bottom bracket's offset, the top pin is offset to keep everything lined up perfect on the vehicle. To help you guys understand what it takes to actually develop a kit for a vehicle like this, here's the different stages we went through in actually getting down to the right fitment. To start off, we grabbed an existing bracket we had, went ahead and did a quick mock-up of some tape to get a good diameter to what actually fit tightly into that upper mount. And then from there we went ahead and cut it out, and then realized that it was a little bit too small, so made it loose. So then we went a little bit larger on our offset, on our pin diameter, and got that one to fit in there right. And then from there we noticed that it was hitting on the side edges, so we went ahead and clearanced them out to get the space for the subframe. And then this was our final version, because we did have to do a little bit more of an offset on the pin because of the lower. So for our lowers, we started out here. This was too big to fit in the actual hole. It was hitting in a few spots. So we did another one to get a little bit more clearance. And then we finally got that portion of it dialed in when we hit this one. That's when we realized it would be a lot better if we actually went ahead and offset the bag a little bit. So we did a very slight offset of the bag on here. And then we realized it would fit a lot better if we did a little bit more of an offset to give us some more clearance for that back toe arm. So we went ahead and did a little bit more of an offset here. You can see the bolt pattern's a little bit further spaced out to get the bag shifted over a little bit more. So of course when you did the different offset on the bottom, we had to do it on the top to get to where we finally are, everything's dialed in. So here's a little shot of our bag inflated, fully extended. As you can see here, we got tons of space. And we went ahead and secured down the bottom to keep the bag located where it's supposed to be. And then on this side over here, where the axle is, we have tons of space here too with it fully extended. So here's our clearances at fully dropped height. We're closer here, but as it comes up, that part moves away. And then over here on the axle, we got miles of clearance. On this right here, this is where it's going to limit the drop. This is actually the upper control arms hitting the subframe area, so if you were to clearance that out, and then when we do our solution struts, we can actually go shorter with the strut to get it down a little bit lower. But as it sits right now, the factory tires are a 1/4 inch away from the center fender well. So here's our fully dropped right at the top lip of the wheel. That's going to do it for the rear. We're going to take care of the front on the next video. Go ahead and like if you liked the video, and subscribe if you want to see more in the future. See you soon.